realise that we were all in that boat with you, Steve.
You don't realise until you see films like that afterwards, and that was put together by the BBC, and that it does bring things home to you in some ways. It's a bit scary, is that you're sort of in your own little bubble, concentrating and trying to perform at your best. And it was a really eye-opener. I find that very emotional, even though it's 9 years on in about 10 days' time. 23rd of September 2000 was the last time that I raced internationally. And it's pretty scary from that point of view. But the emotion from the family, my mother holding my son, sort of the relief, is sort of the whole body sort of gave way in some ways as we crossed the line. My 9-year-old daughter at that time is now is 18, is going on to Oxford University to do medicine now. That's a bit scary in some ways. She was convinced that we hadn't won. And it took her my wife a lot of convincing that we crossed the line, but she didn't believe it until we got on the rostrum and had the medals put around our necks. My son that my mother was holding, shouting out, "Daddy, Daddy," as you heard as we were going to the start, he fell asleep for the whole of the race. My mother's not a quiet person by any stretch of the imagination. Screaming in his ear, nothing. He's really embarrassed about that now.
Well, Steve, I can't think of anybody better to have here today to celebrate all of this. Thank you very much for coming to join us. You are an inspiration to all of us, and I really meant it when I said we were all in that boat with you, you know.
I would never have done it without the support, that's for certain.
It's great because, I mean, yours is a story of vision, of courage, of dogged determination, and above all of teamwork. And in many ways, that's the story of the whole Media City UK enterprise. We were the late runners coming into this competition, because it was a competition. Here was this big prize, this fantastic anchor tenant, the BBC. And you know, we thought it was all a done deal, all tied down with Manchester. And then suddenly the rules were all thrown up in the air, and here was an opportunity to bid. And we were up against some pretty serious competition. And it is a story of teamwork, and it's a story of great courage by a lot of people and a lot of organisations. Fantastic to have a really unusual developer in the shape of Peel, led, as you all know, by a visionary chairman, by John Whittaker, who himself is no slouch in terms of visions and coming and showing dogged determination and courage and triumph. He created the Trafford Centre when everybody around said you must be nuts, and they'd never done it before. Not only did he do it, but it is now, I think it must be, if not the most successful shopping centre in Europe, probably one of the most successful. It is a fantastic development. And then, you know, just sort of went on to do the odd airports and the odd ports and various other things on the side. So in a sense, not a surprise that he should have grasped this idea, this vision of Media City. So we were really fortunate to have a visionary developer in Peel. And then we were equally fortunate to have an equally courageous and visionary local authority in Salford City Council. You know, the fact that you're sitting here in this place, the Lowry, you know, when we started out on the Lowry project, people said we were completely nuts. You know, they threatened to cart us off. How could you possibly consider building an international arts and entertainment centre in the middle of you know, what had not long since been a derelict dock site in one of the most impoverished parts of the country? Well, not only did Salford back that project, but made it possible, stuck their heads on the block again and again, as they've done in getting the Quays off the ground. But when the opportunity came along for Media City, they showed the same courage, vision, and determination all over again. And had it not been for that courage and determination, we wouldn't all be sitting here today. So fantastic, courageous local authority. And then the URC, which is a child of a number of public sector partners, particularly the local authority and the North West Development Agency, and of course the National Development Agency, as it was in those days, English Partnerships, private sector led. We have a £4 billion private sector led business plan for this area, making this URC the largest URC in the country, and that has all been achieved in the space of a few short years, 3 short years. So it was a team that was determined to succeed. and got together in a very short space of time a vision, which was informed by a group of academics, believe it or not, from MIT in Massachusetts and Cambridge, our Cambridge University, who'd seen the development of what they've talked about as 21st century cities, springing up around the world, places which are designed specifically to attract and retain creative people. This is not a cluster, this is not a business park, it's not a science park. This is a place deliberately designed to be a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365 days a year place which attracts and retains creative people. To invent, we don't know what, frankly. You know, we are really talking about here inventing the future. And to have the BBC as the anchor tenant, of course, gives us a huge, huge head start. And I can tell you that the other genuine media cities around the world, there's one in Seoul, there's one in Singapore, there's one in Helsinki, there are a few more others besides, are green with envy that we have this amazing anchor tenant in the BBC. And of course, I mention academia because academia is really important in all of this. One of the things that all of these 21st century cities have in common is a big presence from academia, because where do so many of the great new ideas come from? New ideas for new platforms for exploiting digital, they come out of academia. So to have the support right from the earliest days, again, courageous, visionary from the university, even before we knew we were going to win this bid, they stuck their necks out as well. That's been another fantastic support for this project. And of course, their building's coming out of the ground now as well. So this really is about creating something visionary. And as we were working with Mike Jurov, you know, in my typical ex-journalistic hack way, I said to him one day, do you think we could be world class? And he looked down his nose at us and he said, well, I don't know about world class, but you could be globally significant. And we said, that'll do us. We'll be globally significant. And that's what I'd kind of like to show you, the latest video from Peel Media, a flavour of what this globally significant media city is going to look like.